All right, so the Q&A.
Wait, can you start over? That was really bland, that intro. Okay, the Q&A.
The Q&A. We went through all the questions. Is that better? Something like that? Okay. The Q&A. We went through all of the questions, and we got a lot more than we thought we were going to get. So we went through and picked several of them that we thought would fit best. There's some of them that we thought were really good, but just we couldn't add them because of time. And then at the end we'll say who won the books. Here we go. So the first one is practically.
Oh, you're going first?
What is one? Do you want to go first?
No, go ahead.
Okay. Practically, what is one or two things that help you be aware of His presence and voice after the secret place?
It's your question. You have to answer.
No,
it
I mean
first.
we're both gonna answer.
Yeah, but you're gonna answer it first because you read it.
Let me get a water.
Did you really just get up right now? I forgot the question already.
All right, I'll go. I guess I'll go first. So, for me, two things that I practice: keeping my heart thankful before the Lord for everything. That's number one. And number two, I would say attentiveness to Him. That can look like different ways. It can look like adoration, like I worship you, I give you glory. Or it could be just praying in the Spirit in the midst of everything else. Meditating on a phrase that the Lord has spoken to me earlier in the day. For instance, one of the phrases that recently I've been keeping before me is Jesus said, I am among you as him that serveth. So I will think about it and keep it going around in my heart all day long. So meditation, tongues, adoration, all under attentiveness to Him. And thanksgiving.
That's good. Me too. Putting on a good worship song. You know, set the mood. Set the tone. and gratitude, always.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Keeping my eyes on Him and His goodness in my life. Question number 2. What do you do if God feels distant and you can't feel Him like you used to? And how do you... Okay, so it's 2 questions, but it's really one. And how do you not let that feeling of separation and lack of His presence keep you from running to sin to meet the need?
Who asked it?
Jeremiah Mendoza.
Oh, the person who asked mine, I forgot, was Andrew Svirid. Svirid. I forgot to say his name. So yours is Jeremiah Mendoza.
Well, from experience in my own personal walk, I've learned over the years that God is never distant. It's always me. It's always something in my heart that's keeping me from allowing Him to penetrate my heart. Mm-hmm. I used to think like, God, where are you? You know, like you took a break from me or something. But I've just learned that that's not the case, because anytime I start to feel distant and feel like what I talked about a little bit in the testimony that I shared was like when you let all that stuff create a wall, you know, it's in your own heart. It's not Him, you know, like shunning you. Well, the need is Him. So sin isn't going to give you Him. So I would say no matter what, no matter how distant you think He is, just go to Him, run to Him. Go to that place and sit there and cry, get your heart soft and right before Him.
Your physical heart has been installed inside of you and is the source of your life. And you may not always be aware of its beating, but at any moment you can stop and turn your attention and be able to sense its beating inside of you, no matter what's going on around you. And the Spirit is very similar. He's been installed inside of you as your source of life. And you may not always be aware of His presence, but at any moment you can simply turn your attention to him and become aware of him. The presence of the Lord is the source of holiness. So we don't come to him because we're holy. We come to him so that he can make us holy. So I would encourage you, if you don't sense the Lord, take extra time to be with him. The next question is from Marcel Primes. How has the intimacy you've experienced with God taught you how to love each other? In John 13, Jesus washes the disciples' feet, and he says a phrase, "As I have done to you, so do," or "do as I have done unto you." So I think that in that phrase you see something very special, which is you can only do to others what God has first done to you. So it is very important to receive God's love first to you before it can ever come through you to another person. So I think that getting alone with God to receive his love is the only way to really show unconditional love towards my wife and kids and all that. He's the perfect bridegroom. So however he deals with me in all of my shortcomings and all of my failures, I need to remember that in being a bridegroom or a groom, a husband to my wife. I need to look at how God deals with me as an example of how he will deal with her through me. And wherever I fall short in that, I've fallen short, and I need to come to him and ask him to forgive me. So that's what I think. What do you think?
That's good.
What do you think?
Well, after lots of trial and error, whether I outwardly admit it or not to him, to you, if I bring, whatever the situation is before the Lord, he doesn't show me Eric's faults. He shows me my own in my own heart. Not like in a mean way, but just, I can see like, oh shoot, I was totally out of line or like disrespectful. I guess just the more that I'm with the Lord and the more that I love him and the more, I allow him to change me, I become more like him. So it's really him loving you through me.
Oh, your question.
Did that make sense?
Yeah, very much.
I feel like it did, but...
It did.
Okay, this is Sylvia from Chicago. How do you steward your children into falling in love with Jesus other than by example? And how do you teach them to hear the voice of the Spirit? Well, I think, the most powerful is leading by example. But teaching them, falling in love with Jesus, that's a prayer, a constant prayer in my own heart for my kids to, at an early age, fall in love with Jesus.
Yeah.
And not have to go through and learn some of the things that I've had to learn just growing up in church and kind of seeing Jesus through the lens of religion rather than like love. And I just pray, my prayer for them is that they would have that encounter and they would meet him and fall in love with him on their own. And then how do we teach them to hear the voice? We talk very candidly and openly with them, just kind of like sharing with them like what happened, when I talk to Madison, I'll share like things that have happened with me to kind of like give her example and kind of like walk her through it. And if she's like, oh yeah, I felt that before, and I'm like, yeah, well, and then kind of, just communication, I guess.
Yeah. Andrew Murray said, whatever I'm to make my child to be, I must first be myself. So I know she made a divide in the question between example, like something else other than example, and I see exactly what she's saying, but I would say everything comes out of example. So you have to, as she knows, walk with God intimately, personally first. And from that place, everything they need to learn will be seen and learned in them seeing you. So, and like Brooke said, openness with them. We encourage them to stillness. Literally take time to get quiet before the Lord. I tell Madison almost every day, have you given the Lord any time? Have you listened to him at all? Just gotten quiet and listened to him. I think this is the key to hearing the voice of the Spirit. Good question. Hey. Next one is from David Edwards, a good friend of ours. Actually, it's from his wife, Alicia. I think that's how you say it. How do you and Brooke pursue oneness in marriage? Well, I really think that...
Is a two-part question.
Is it?
Yeah.
Speaking of living
as unique individuals and uniquely one.
He's so good with words. Okay, so I would say very simply, being best friends. Taking time to hang with each other and do nothing else but be with each other, talking to each other, laughing. A lot of people lose this along the way, or sometimes people get so spiritual, quote, spiritual, that they lose their own personalities, and it's not God's way. God's Spirit illuminates and animates your personality to be fully who he is in you and who you are in him. So I would say personal time together, hanging together, laughing, being best friends, stewarding our relationship even as in forgiveness and in communication.
That's good. I would say, don't laugh at me. I would say just being best friends.
That's what I said.
Yeah, but I was just a simpler way to say it.
It's the same way I said it.
Did you say best friends?
I said best friends.
Oh.
Yeah.
I was thinking. And not taking life so seriously. We're not very serious people at all. We, after we put the kids to bed, that's our favorite time because that's when we hang out and we just laugh and we try to make time when it's possible to have date nights, go to a nice dinner and just hang out and be friends. That's
It's huge.
That is huge. Just making time for each other and making it a priority just to enjoy each other and not
totally
talk about bills or scheduling because that never goes well. I mean, he's always been great at encouraging my strengths and just encouraging me. So I guess as not losing your individual uniqueness and personality, just remaining true to that and encouraging each other and yeah.
Good. Next one. Who's it from?
Okay, this is my third one. How did you meet?
Who's it from?
This name's really funny. I'm pretty sure this isn't on your birth certificate, but Grub Killer Fi.
Grub Killer Fi.
All right. How did you meet, and how did you know she was the one?
Oh. You gonna answer it?
How did we meet?
Yeah.
I'll answer that.
Okay.
We met at church, Calvary Assembly in Orlando, and actually my sister is married to his brother. So
Yes.
It was a Wednesday night youth group. My friend was with me, and my sister was looking for his brother. And we went to the music office because their dad was the music pastor at the time. And Eric answered the door to the music office. And I was 11, and he was 13, and it was over. I was like, I like him.
I like him. I knew she was the one because some people get so spiritual about these kind of things and need like a fly to land on their right hand, and
sometimes that stuff does happen.
Yes, I mean, I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I mean, I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but I am saying that some people get so spiritual about stuff that they miss the one sometimes right in front of their face. So for me, I knew she was the one because I did not want to live my life without her in it. And that's as simple as it gets. I came to that realization. I don't want to be without her. I want to be with her forever. So why don't I just go ahead and ask her to be my forever? And she said yes, and we have, since she's been 11, she's 34 now.
We didn't get married at 11 though.
No, we no. But she's 34
I was 20.
now. Yeah. And we've been very close since then. So.
Yeah.
I mean, we've been.
I hope so. We're married.
Oh my gosh! I'm just saying, since you were 11.
Oh
we've been
yeah.
close. Okay, this one is a really good question. This is from Ethel Friggy, Friggi.
Sorry if we're saying your name wrong.
Sorry. How do you teach a person who has been a Christian for a long time but never came to the Father's intimacy? How do you teach him that he must know him, know God, experience the presence of God, not only know things about God, when this person's already been faithful for many years? This is a fantastic question. The main thing is to recognize that what you are is a greater teaching than anything you can say. So when you are a house of God, you're housing him by being attentive to his presence, living a life of adoration and communion with God. You become a house of joy and love and joy and peace and patience and goodness, kindness, faithfulness, gentleness. These things, self-control, all of these things begin to just bloom and blossom out of your life. Humility is the bloom and blossom of the presence of God in your life. And so as this person sees you and recognizes you have something that is of greater quality than what he has known, then in that you have an open door. But I think to start teaching them, they're going to use their history of faithfulness to shut you up until they can actually see something that opens the door. And you can be assured, a person that doesn't know intimacy with the Father, even though they've been outwardly faithful, there has been deep inward struggles that you can't see, because only the presence of God experienced satisfies. And if that's not the reality in a person's life, it doesn't matter how well they present themselves. The inward case is the same as someone who doesn't have a deep satisfaction with God in his presence, eating bread, drinking the wine of heaven.
You can just tell when someone is intimate with the Lord and really knows him, because they just carry his presence. They house his presence, and you can feel it. They don't really even need to say anything. You can just see it in their eyes. You just feel like they just exude like peace and joy. And so I would say more than anything, just be the thing. I mean, that's all you can do, because so many people are just full of talk, and it's exhausting. If you are it, I mean, you can't deny it. It's like there's no denying it, and it'll make them hungry, to know him and be like, man, what is that? I need that, So
it's really good. So who?
So you can announce the winner.
Oh yeah. Marcel Primes or Prims or.
I would go with
I'd go with Primes. You are Marcel Primes.
Email sonshipintl@gmail.com.
Yeah, and we'll send you
your
the books.
information, and then we'll send you the books.
And thanks again, guys, for your questions. It was a joy reading through them. Some of them were really funny. But let's pray. Lord, I thank you that you have loved us so much, that not only have you washed away every spot, every stain, but you have given to us your very own Spirit, that we might be your house, that you would live in us with joy and love and peace. And I pray, Lord, that we would tend to the sweet indwelling Christ so that he can live his life through us effortlessly, joyfully, and fully. That your kingdom would be seen through our personal lives, our marriages, and our families. Everywhere we go and everything we're involved in, may we be a tree thrown into bitter waters to make them sweet. Amen.
Amen.